Today, it's all me as we talk about my pet timey-wimey obsession, Allons-y. Hello, and welcome to at least one half of the ADA. You may be wondering why it's just me and not Wade sitting to my left as per usual, and that's because Wade is off gallivanting into the hinterlands doing his fun college-y stuff, and we have yet to figure out how to do videos while we are on opposite ends of the country, so we'll be working on that. Since it's just me and not the usual A-dub and A-dub combo, it's going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be as long, as you may have already noticed, looking at the timey thing. Not going to be as long, and not going to be the same sort of conversational, fun, interesting, tangential craziness that usually goes on this lovely channel. Instead, this is going to be much more focused, a much more specific episode. This is all about what's happening this coming Saturday, assuming that you're watching this when it came out. This Saturday, September 1st, is the series premiere of Season 7 of Doctor Who. My absolute favorite show. I think the best sci-fi show of all time. The purpose of this episode is to be an introduction for all of you future Whovians who want to get a chance to get into Doctor Who but don't know where to start or are worried about what you need to know. So, first off, I'm going to just explain some of the basic concepts of the show. The show itself has been going on for 50 years as of next year. Next year is the 50th anniversary. That sounds scary to a lot of people who want to get into a show. How do you get into something that has 50 years of backstory? What's nice about it is that while it is the same show, there's a distinct flavor, and the show is sort of broken up into two chunks. There's Classic Who, which takes place from '63 until the '80s when it got cancelled. And then New Who, which started off with the Russell T Davies, Christopher Eccleston reboot in 2005. The central premise of the show is that you have the Doctor. The Doctor is an alien, a Time Lord for the planet Gallifrey, who looks exactly like a human, only the slight difference that his species is capable of time travel, and also has two hearts. The Doctor is kind of a silly, Sherlock Holmesy, brilliant genius, not the greatest social skills, funny, silly, courageous, at times very dark character. The Doctor, there's a special little mechanic that the people at the BBC figured out, which is the reason the show has been able to stay on for 50 years. That when a Time Lord is about to die, it can cheat death by regenerating. When it regenerates, it becomes a whole new person, but has the same memories. It has the same general personality, but that's why there have been 11 different Doctors. It's a clever way for them to be able to, if an actor wants to retire, they can have another guy come in and take its place. So you've had 11 different Doctors. The New Who has had 3. He travels around in this magic blue box that he stole, called the TARDIS, which stands for Time and Relative Dimensions in Space. The Doctor always travels with companions, who are humans, usually, that go with him on his travels, and they get into adventures and escapades. Most of them, at least over the course of history, have been female. So there's he travels off with the hot female companion. It's great. The ones that have been there for all of the Matt Smith era, and the ones that will be there if you start watching tomorrow night on BBC America, are Amy Pond, a young Scottish girl who, if you watch The 11th Hour, you met the Doctor as a young girl and met him again as an adult. Rory Williams, her boyfriend, husband, and occasionally River Song, a mysterious girl from the Doctor's past and future. There have been other companions too, but if you want to just sort of start off now, Amy and Rory and River are the only ones you really need to know about. The great thing about Doctor Who is a show that is, the way that the premise is set up, that you have people who can travel anywhere in time, means that it really can be any and every kind of show. You've got historical drama, the times they go back to visit Charles Dickens or Vincent van Gogh. You've got crazy far future science fiction, where they go off and are exploring the big ideas that Star Trek did. You've got space opera. You've got horror. Some of the scariest things that I've ever seen, ever, on TV, on film, whatever, have been episodes of Doctor Who. It has great monsters. It's kind of a fairy tale, but it's also science fiction, but it's also relationship drama, and it's also horror. And it's silly and it's fun. It is every kind of show that you could want it to be. I am quite the Whovian. I've seen every single episode of New Who, and most of them multiple times, but I've never seen a single episode of Classic Who. So, if you want to get into Doctor Who, you don't have to worry about watching any of the classic stuff. Now, the way that I did it was I actually started watching all the way from the beginning. It's on Netflix, and so I watched every single episode in order. That took a lot of time. It took me about a little over a year to be fully caught up, and that was me getting caught up to the start of last season. It's a great show, and I would 100% recommend watching every episode in order. It definitely adds a lot to it. But if all you want to do is to sort of get a taste into it, to sort of start off and see what it's all about, there are a few different ways that you can go about that. My personal suggestion is that you start on Netflix, if you have it, with the first episode of Season 5. It's the first episode with Matt Smith as the Doctor, and it's called The 11th Hour. I think it does the best job of explaining exactly what the show is about. It has all of the whimsy, it's scary in parts, you get to see the Doctor from Amy Pond, who's one of the current companions. You get to see it from her eyes, and it's a great way to introduce yourself to Doctor Who. Some people suggest starting with the episode Blink in Season 3, because it's a standalone and you literally need to know nothing else. You don't need to know a single thing about Doctor Who to watch that episode. It is a great episode, and it's one of the best. At the same time, it's very, very different from any other episode of Doctor Who, so if you watch it and you like it, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to like the rest of the show. So I would actually avoid watching that one first, unless you just want to watch a really good episode, a really good 45-minute horror movie. Yeah, Doctor Who is just a great show. It's great sci-fi, it's great fantasy, it's great horror, it's great character drama, it's great comedy. It's with a show that expansive, it really does get to be whatever it wants, and it does go further than any other show that I've ever seen. It is the most wildly imaginative, most inventive, most the one that most fulfills that idea of science fiction and fantasy, that, you know, take a story and go as far as you possibly can with it, go far beyond the reaches of human imagination, and no show really does it quite the same way Doctor Who does. And so with that, I will leave you with Allons-y and A-Dub Club out.